Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode where I'm answering questions from the Automation Guild 2018 Roundtable Conference I was speaking at. So, the question we have today is from Mike, and Mike says, what are your opinion that test automation is just automated checks? How can we elevate the value of test automation and improve its impression to other team members who are not creating or maintaining test automation? So, reading between the lines here, there could be possibly two meanings. What Mike is trying to ask here. Firstly, it could be that how can we make the manual team or testers who are not involved in automation be more comfortable with adapting automation or with seeing value in automation and not seeing it as an enemy or not as a threat, but see it as a friend. And the second question and the second meaning could be is how can automation help testers, right? So between the lines, probably these might be one of the reason behind asking. So let's talk about the first one and I'll answer them both. So the first one is where we have a fear factor, right? So, and that is a valid question because I've heard that question a lot of times, and it's a very common question in the industry. Unfortunately, this is the kind of fear that you see that surrounds AI or automation, artificial intelligence these days. Is AI going to eat all the jobs? Is AI going to make everything redundant? Absolutely not. Probably 100 years later, probably something, but not in a year or two. We are very far behind in that. Similarly, with testing, the essence of testing, what I call testing acumen, that is not just executing tests. That is the thought process of deciding what to test. And that thought process is an innate thinking capability that one human decides on or thinks about based on assumptions and judgments they see. They gather information, that all the information they gather from their surroundings, for instance, in this case, that would be requirements, the discussions they've had with developers, what they are seeing on the item assigned to them, what the past history of the application, what they've seen the application being doing. So a lot of things, considering a lot of information, a tester thinks about and different testing techniques, and then they think about how to best test this feature cohesively, right? So that's something that we are very far away from automating, and that's absolutely not the kind of automation that's happening in the industry right now, right? So the kind of automation we are doing is, for instance, if we had a calculator app, and the calculator app has a feature of 2 plus 2 checking 4. So, well, if you do some changes in the calculator, you might always want to check if 2 plus 2 is 4, right? So, and that's a really mundane thing to do every time. So you just write a script for that, and the script does that for you, right? So does that mean that all the testing for that app is done? Absolutely not. That was just a really small infinitesimal thing that we just gave some dumb machine to do. So that the actual testing still remains, that has to be done. So as far as the fear part of it, that's absolutely there can be nothing that is beyond the truth in this case. That's, automation is there to facilitate testers. If you remove testers and you have just automation, that's absolutely of no use. It's not going to be useful at all. The automation works with testers. That's the whole idea. So it just takes off mundane tasks from their workload, and so that the testers can free their time and do some real thinking and testing instead of doing arbitrary stuff. So now the next interpretation, which might be, how can this help testers? So if we take this in that perspective as to the impression automation can have on the testing team collectively and how they can use it, or if they have a good impression of it, then they would be more willing to engage with it. So the answer would be the same. We as a team, we need to understand that testing for applications that we have these days is really huge, and there is a lot to test, and it is not possible to do that manually all the time. Secondly, the industry has changed so much that everyone expects results or releases real quick, and that's the game of this age, right? So you have to ship real quick. If you're not shipping quickly, you're in trouble. So as per my favorite book, How Google Works, there's a line there which I repeat every time when this discussion comes up. The companies that are going to be most successful are the ones who can develop, iterate, ship and iterate the process, and those that do this process the quickest will be the most successful. So you create something, ship it out, create something, ship it out, create something, ship it out, and let the market be a judge of it. And then by the time you get feedback, you're ready with the next version and you ship that out. But to get the speed, you have to move your testing fast. To move your testing fast, some of it has to be automated so that it can be done quickly, and your time you have to spend on testing reduces, right? So when you have this challenge, automation is just a tool like a hammer. So for instance, if a carpenter is trying to create a piece of furniture, you can consider this as a hammer. So if the carpenter is trying to create furniture without a hammer, it's going to take some time. So with a hammer, it's going to be a bit easy. That's a really crude and stupid example, but that's how it is, right? So it's just a tool. So if you use this tool, it's just going to be easier. It's like if you want to go from point A to B, you instead of walking, if you drive, you're just going to get there faster. That's it, right? So using testers should use automated checks to get testing faster, and that's what the value is, and that's what the team should collectively understand. And when this understanding is there, then they can see it as an opportunity and can work together and improve their testing and reduce their testing time and increase quality at the same time. I hope this video was useful for you. Thank you for watching, and if you like this, do not forget to subscribe and join us in the movement of redefining software quality. Thank you. Talk to you next time.